Okay, now folks, this video deals with all the spots connected with the Buddha's with the Buddha's birth. Now, basically, Mahamaya was going towards the east to her father's home. When she got, she went to bathe in the Shakya pond, and she got, labor pains. And she gave birth to the Buddha standing under a tree. So this Hyun Sang has pinpointed 10 stupas connected to this. This is all 56 kilometers south west of Lumbini. And he has pinpointed around 10 stupas connected to the birth. I have identified and videographed all of them. It is according to Hyun Sang's CU Key, Buddhist Records of the Western World, page 25 and 26. And now for some reason Hyun Sang does not mention Mahaprajapati and Gautami and Mahamaya's father's home, which Buddhists say it is Devdaha. It's not Devdaha, folks, it's bunkered by Sakha. Anyway, but since Hyun Sang shows me the Karmahaya river, which is the border of the Shakya and the Kolia country, so I studied Buddhist texts and I easily found out, see, when you reach the correct place, all the names start popping up. And I found out all the, Kolia towns mentioned in Buddhist scriptures, and the pond in which both the Shakyas and Koliyas had the right to use the water. So folks, enjoy the video. Lumbini is in the place where the Buddha was born. Okay, now folks, today I am going to show you all the places connected to the Buddha's birth and his grandfather's place. I mean, Queen Mahamaya and Prajapati Gautami's home. Now, as usual, I will start off with CU Key, Buddhist Records of the Western World, written by Hyun Sang and translated by Samuel Beal. And as usual, this is from page 25 and 26. Page 25 and 26, Hyun Sang describes in detail, around 10 stupas which are connected to the Buddha's birth, where Queen Mahamaya bathed, where the Buddha walked 7 paces in all 4 directions, etc. So this is from CU Key, but for some unknown reason, Hyun Sang does not describe Queen Mahamaya's father's home, which is on the opposite side of the Karmahaya river. And Hyun Sang does not describe it, but since Hyun Sang has shown me the exact spot of the Buddha's birth, and then he showed me the river which was the boundary of the Shakyas and the Koliyas. So basically, then it was easy. I read Buddhist texts, and with the help of the first half, which is Hyun Sang, I discovered the second half, which is Mahaprajapati Gautami and Mahamaya's father's home. So folks, enjoy the video. It starts off from CU Key, page 25 and 26, and then I carry on with Buddhist research and pinpoint the places or the Kolia cities. So folks, enjoy the video. So this is Koteshwar Nath temple, Kote Khas area. Now this will be the eastern gate. Now outside the eastern gate is Katia No Diha. Katia means bent. and now Diha is new body. Means when the new child came, Katia, I mean, this is a guesswork by me, folks. I will tell the truth. This is guesswork. This is the only place I have guessed. So Katia is a bent, and Naudiha is new body. So it denotes a child. So bent before a child. So this is where that Deva temple was, folks. From Katia Naudiha, he goes to the south gate of the city. Now, outside the south gate of the city, on the left of the road is a stupa. It was here the royal prince contended with the Sakyas in athletic sports and pierced with his arrows the iron targets. So, on the south gate of the city, outside the south gate of the city. So, folks, let's see where he did athletics with the Sakyas. This is Shukul Purva, this is Kote Khas, that was Katia. Now this is the south of the city, this Ukhada. Ukhada is Akhada. Akhada is a place where they wrestle. So wrestling is India's athletics. So this is very important. This place is outside the south gate of the city. So basically, and this Ukhada, ask anyone today, it is known as Akhada, where they wrestle and they do other athletics, they fight, high jump, it's called Akhada. So folks, Ukhada, this is where the Buddha did athletics with the Sakyas. It is outside the southern gate. I am in Ukhada village, Prachmik Vidyalaya Ukhada. See, this is Ukhada. This is the ancient word for Akhada. Akhada means a place where athletics took place in rural Bihar. Of course, it's mostly wrestling, kusti. So this is Akhada. That is Akhada village on top of a stupa. And this Akhada is 30 leagues northwest of Tiraini. Tiraini, where I told you where the archery was, where Lord Buddha shot a bullseye into the ground. So basically this 30 leagues, 8 kilometers northwest exactly from Tiraini. So this proves that this Koteshwar Nath area is what the British mistook for Kapilavastu, and this is the place where Lord Buddha did wrestling and other athletics, and Tiraini is the place where he did archery. And so folks, this is what the British mistook for Kapilavastu. This is Koteshwar Nath. The British mispronounced by Yun Sang as Ki Pi Li No So Tu, which the British translated as Kapila Vastu. So folks, to the left up here is Shore D, where Lord Buddha threw the elephant. You have seen where the Buddha did athletics with the Sakyas in athletics. Now after that, from Ukhada, 30 li southeast is a small stupa. Here there is a fountain, the waters of which are as clear as a mirror. Here it was during the athletic contest that the arrow of the prince, after penetrating the targets, fell and buried itself up to the feather in the ground, causing a clear spring of water to flow forth. Common tradition has called it the arrow fountain. So folks, the place where he shot an arrow and it entered the ground till the feather. That was 30 li. 30 li is 30 li. 30 li is around 6 to 7 kilometers. So 6 to 7 kilometers southeast of Ukhara was a stupa where he shot an arrow. It dug itself to the ground, into the ground till the feathers, and a fountain of water was created, which now soon became a stream. So that is Ukhara. And look, I have got my divider fixed at exactly at 2 kilometers. So folks, let's see. Ukhara, 6 to 7 kilometers southeast, 2, 4, 6, and one more kilometer. 7 kilometer is Taraini. Taraini means archery. Taraini means archery. So this is the spot, the arrow fountain well, the arrow fountain where he shot an arrow and it dug itself till the feathers into the ground, and a fountain of water was formed. Now you can see the water up here, the fountain. See, there is a small river. It turned into a stream later on. See, you can see a small river. Do a close up and see. You can see Taraini is there and the river is there. This is the arrow fountain, folks. Check up the video. Okay, folks, now I'm in Taraini, a village called Taraini. Taraini means archer. Taraini in English means archery. Now, 60 leagues, according to Yun Sang, 60 leagues southwest of the birthplace of Lord Buddha, which I say is Rudhauli. So this, which is 15 kilometers southwest. This village called Taraini, which means archery, is exactly 15 kilometers southwest from Rudhauli, where I claim that Yun Sang says that Lord Buddha was born. So Taraini, this is the spot where Lord Buddha shot a bullseye with his arrow, and the arrow hit the ground and went right till the bottom. Now this is the highest point of the stupa. You can see the stupa is going down. The stupa goes down there, and then the stupa goes down there also. In the count, okay. The stupa goes down there also. So this road, basically, this village has settled on top of the stupa, and this road has passed in the middle of the stupa. So the stupa has flattened. The stupa has flattened. This is the highest point. So this will be the point where the arrow hit the ground. यहाँ पर कोई कुआं भी है पुराना? हाँ? So this is the point. This is Taraini archery, and this proves that Rudhauli is the birthplace of Lord Buddha. Now, northwest of Taraini should be a place called Ukhara. Ukhara means akhada, where Lord Buddha used to wrestle. According to Yun Sang, he did his athletic competitions. Now 30 leagues is 8 kilometers. So 88 kilometers northwest of here is Ukhara, which is the present day Akhara, which means athletics, according to Yun Sang. Or in rural Bihar, the athletics they play up here is wrestling. Okay, thank you, folks. Now, folks, just now I'm here near Taraini. Taraini, see all these elephants with a woman sitting on top. That is Lord Buddha's mother. Woman sitting on top. That is Mother Mahamaya. All these elephants This is ki kon mandir kal kai?
माता मंदिर
हाँ?
माता मंदिर
Mata Mandir in this is near Tirani. Tirani means archerer. That is the spot where Lord Buddha shot an arrow, a bullseye, and it dug itself into the ground till the feather. And this river, water sprouted out from that well and caused this river. So folks, this is the river, and I would request Buddhists to check this out. This is Samay Mata Mandir. You can see the some Mata sitting there on top. So that will be Lord Buddha's mother. So this is Taraini, the arrow well. The Taraini means archery. So this is where the Buddha's arrow dug itself into the ground till the feather, and well was spring was formed, which created a river. You can see the river is nearby. So this is mythology, and there is a well up here. So this is Taraini. Now this is very important for Buddhists, folks, because Hyun Sang came from Ukhara to Taraini, 7 kilometers, and then from Taraini he goes to Rudhauli, which Hyun Sang mispronounces as Fisheli, and Samuel Beale translates it as Lumbini. Now see, this is the springboard to identify the Buddha's birthplace, folks. This is the springboard to identify the Buddha's birthplace. Now let's see where the Buddha's birthplace is. Now let's see. To the northeast of the arrow well, about 80 or 90 li, we come to the Lumbini or Lavani garden. Folks, to the northeast of the arrow well, 80 or 90 li, we come to the Lumbini or Lavani garden. Let's see how much is 80 or 90 li. 80 li is equals to around 22 kilometers, and 90 li will be around 25. So 22 to 25 kilometers. We come to the garden of Lumbini, which he says Lavani, and let's see where 80 or 90 li or 22 kilometers takes us from Taraini. Now I will take my faithful divider. See, I have fixed it at 10 kilometers. Exactly at 10 kilometers. Now let's do some measuring. 20 kilometers, 22 kilometers northeast, he says. So here, 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers is Rudhauli, is the garden of Lavani, which Samuel Beale translated as Lumbini. Rudhauli is the garden of Lavani, which Samuel Beale translated as, deciphered as Lumbini. Folks, you can see the Lavani sounds similar to Rudhauli up here. So folks, this is your the garden, and you will find everything up here. Now let's see what Hyun Sang has to say about this garden. Arrow well, about 80-90 li, we come to the Lumbini or Lavani garden. Here is the bathing tank of the Sakyas, the water of which is bright and clear as a mirror, and the surface covered with a mixture of flowers. Now this is a bathing tank of the Sakyas up here in the garden of Lavani or Lumbini. Now let's look where the bathing tank is. It can be anywhere around Rudholi. Here is Rudholi. Let's enlarge the satellite picture. My God, what is this? This is Paida. See, you have Rudholi there. This is the garden of Lavani of Rudholi. Now, half of that garden, according to Buddhist scriptures, was in Kolia territory, and half of that garden was in Sakya territory. The dividing the border was the river. So look at this, Paida. Paida simply means birth. Now you must remember, the Buddha wasn't born in a city or a town. He was born, his mother was going back to her father's home, and he was born in she was bathing in the Sakya pond, and he was born 70 feet. He wasn't born in any town or city. So folks, they simply call this place Paida, means birth. Now, the unique thing about this word is it is written Paida, but it's pronounced Para. Para. Para means feet. You see, the Buddha was, when he was born, he landed on the ground on his own feet. So that is what it is written as Paida, means birth, and Para means feet. So, I mean, it is pronounced as Para, but written as Paida. So folks, let's zoom down on this little village here. Now it is that stupa has become a village. Let's see where. Here it is. Here it is. See, you have these two ponds. In the beginning I thought that these two ponds, this pond was the main one, and by mistake I videographed myself in front of it. But then I realized Yun Sang's accuracy. He says that 70 feet in front, north of the pond, the Buddha was born. And up here there is 70 feet north, there is nothing. The stupa is here and the villagers settled on the stupa. So if the Buddha was born here, there should be a pond 70 feet to the south of this spot. So let's enlarge the picture. Let's enlarge the picture. Folks, there is a pond hidden there. There is a pond hidden there. That is the ancient Sakya pond. This pond and the other pond, they are two new ponds, I think, for pilgrims to bathe in. But the original pond, the Sakya pond, is this one, folks, in Paida village. Now, this is the pond. So, just measure 70 feet north of that pond. 70 feet north of the pond is this area of the trees. This is where your Buddha was born, in Paida village of Paida. This is where your Buddha was born, in Paida, Paida village, in within the thing of jurisdiction of Rudholi, and there is the pond. It is an oblong pond, and folks, the villagers throw rubbish in that pond, so the pond is being filled up. This has to be stopped. This is a very important pond for the Buddhist world. So folks, the Buddha was born here amongst these trees, 70 feet north of the pond, and this is the Sakya pond. Today there is a mixture of Muslims and Hindus living on this stupa. So folks, enjoy your first viewing of the Sakya pond and the Buddha's birthplace. You won't find all these things in the accuracy in what you call it, Lumbini, folks. Okay, now let's see what Yun Sang has to say. The stupas which are involved in this story proves that this pond is the Sakya pond, and this is the place where the Buddha was born.
Now folks, I am leaving a village called Khamba, where Yun Sang saw the pillar, the pole, and I am going towards Paida, where Lord Buddha was born. So see the countryside. This is for my Buddhist friends. I will say for you, I am the first person in this who after 1300 years, I'm the first person to say the words Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. I'm saying this for you all folks and for myself. Okay folks, I'm in Peda village and you can see a pond next to me. A pond next to me. Now there are 2 or 3 ponds in this village. Now people will have to choose which is the real one. You can see this is going up. There is a possibility that this is a stupa. This village is on a stupa. See, the road is going up. So basically, this is Peda village, the village where the Buddha was born. दिखाई दो चारों तरफ. And just next to it is north of this village is Khamba, where Yun Sang saw the Ashokan pillar. And again, north of all this is that river of oil which Yun Sang writes about, which flows from the northwest to the southeast, folks. So thank you. This is, feast your eyes, folks. This is where the Buddha was born. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. To the north of this, by this he means to the north of the Sakya pond, 24-25 paces, there is an Ashoka flower tree which is now decayed. This is the place where Bodhisattva was born on the 8th day of the second half of the month called Vaisakha, which corresponds with us to the 8th day of the third month. The school of the Sthaviras Shangsopu say it was on the 15th day of the second half of the same month, corresponding to the 15th day of the third month with us. He is comparing it with the Chinese dates. East from this. Now east from the pond, east from the Sakya pond, east from this, is a stupa built by Ashoka Raja on the spot where the 2 dragons bathed the body of the prince. When Bodhisattva was born, he walked without assistance in the direction of the 4 quarters, 7 paces in each direction, and said, I am the only Lord in heaven and earth. From this time forth, my births are finished. So basically, from this paragraph, we learn that the Buddhist world, they have a misconception that the Buddha walks 7 paces in 4 directions on the spot where he was born. No, he did not walk 7 paces in 4 directions on the spot he was born. He walked in 4 directions in a place around 1 kilometer east from the Sakya pond. There is a stupa, and this is where he walked. They bathed him, and of course Yun Sang says dragons bathed him, but the people bathed him. And that is where he walked in all 4 directions. Now let's see where that is. You have the Peda pond up here, and the Peda stupa there. Over there is the stupa, and here the pond is here, the small piece of water. And the word Peda is over there. And to the east, he says, to the east is a stupa. See, all these stupas, to make all these stupas are around 3 or 4 acres in size. They are huge mud mounds. So for the mud, they had to dig it up from, so you will generally see a lake beside the stupa. That is from where it was dug up. So this is Chaubepur. The village is here. The stupa cum village is there, but the name is here Chaubepur.
Now Chaube, Chau. Chau means Chautarfa. Chautarfa means all four corners. So Chaubepur. Now Chautarfa, the word Chau means all four corners. So basically, this is where the Buddha walked 7 paces in all four corners. Chaubepur. Chaube means all four. Chautha, Chau, Char, Si. Chaube. So what do you call it? The word Chau is 4. So this is the place where now Buddhists have got the wrong conception that on the birth spot where he was born, he walked 7 paces in all directions, because they haven't reached the correct place. So now when you come here, you will realize that around 900 meters to the east is the place where they first bathed the Buddha, and he walked in 4 directions, 7 paces in all 4 directions. So folks, this is Chaubepur. Chau means 4. So what do you call it? This is certainly the spot, and it tallies according to Yun Sang's description. Now there is another interesting place. I will zoom up. See, another interesting place which will come in, and that is Chongra. Now I told you Chau, Char, Chautha, Chaube. So Chongra, this is also a Chau. So this is also connected to the fact that the Buddha walked 7 paces in all 4 directions. Now why is this here? See, why is Chongra here? Now what do you call it? Chongra means, in Hindi it means too big for your boots. See, the Buddha was too big for his boots. He was born and he walked 7 paces in all 4 directions. So wasn't he too big for his boots? That is exactly what Chongra means. And this word was given birth up here, folks. We in Hindi know a word Chengra. Chengra means a small kid who is acting too big. A small kid who is acting too big. So basically that means, see, all these places needed a Sangrama. A Sangrama where the monks could see. The stupas are praying spots. This is where he was born. People prayed here. The stupas, but these are not places where you live. There had to be a Sangrama nearby. So the Sangrama connected to Chaubepur and Paida and Paidi, etc. And to Tegodia, which I am going to show you. So the Sangrama will be Chongra. Chongra means too big for your boots, folks. I feel like laughing. What do you call it? The word has been given birth here, and what do you call it? It is because the Buddha walked on his feet in all 4 directions and gave a short speech about his life. So this is it. This is the Sangrama, which will have been in charge of the upkeep of all these stupas up here, folks. So this is the spot, Chaubepur, where the Buddha walked in all 4 directions, 7 paces in all 4 directions. Now to the east of this stupa, that is Peri or Chaubepur stupa, are 2 fountains of pure water, by the side of which have been built 2 stupas. There are 2 fountains of pure water, by the side of which have been built 2 stupas. This is the place where 2 dragons appeared from the earth. When Bodhisattva was born, the attendants and household relations hastened in every direction to find water for the use of the child. At this time, two springs gurgled forth from the earth just before the queen, the one cold and the other warm, using which they bathed him. So folks, that is to the east of the walking stupa. So let's see, to the east of the walking stupa, that means Paida or Padi stupa, or Chaubepur. Let's see where it is. This is Padi and Chaubepur, the walking stupa. To the east is Ghanghata. Ghanghata means thick clouds. Ghan means thick and Ghata means clouds. It seems it rained that time, but Yun Sang says it's dragons. There is one pond, there are supposed to be two ponds. One pond and another pond, two ponds. So folks, you have it there. One pond there and the second pond here. So that is Ghanghata. It is east of Padi, and in between the two ponds you have this long village. It's around 500 meters. These are the two stupas. One stupa here, two stupas here. So folks, these are the two stupas where they wash the Buddha with warm and cold water. So this is Ghanghata. Ghanghata means thick clouds. It seems there was a thunderstorm and they bathed. The Theravada Buddhists say there was a thunderstorm and they bathed the Buddha in rainwater. So here you have Yun Sang's first pond and the second pond. Now the next stupa will strengthen this one, Ghanghata, as the place where they bathed the Buddha in warm and cold water. Now we saw using which they bathed him, where they bathed the Buddha. Now to the south of this is a stupa. This is a spot where Sakra, the Lord of Devas, received Bodhisattva in his arms. When Bodhisattva was born, then Sakra, the king of Devas, took him and wrapped him in an exquisite and divine robe. So Sakra, king of Devas, when this is the spot where Sakra, the Lord of Devas, received Bodhisattva in his arms. Now to receive someone in your arms in the rural language is called Godi. To take in Godi. To receive someone in your arms is to take in Godi. Now let's see what you have in the satellite picture. Here you have Ghanghata. Now let's see what's to the south. Yun Sang wrote, to the south, Sakra, king of Devas, took in his lap. Tegodiya Godi. Godi means to take in your lap. Tegodiya means he took the child in his lap. Folks, this is the stupa where Sakra, king of Devas, took the child in his lap. That is Tegodiya. Godi means to take in one's lap. So this one strengthens this and all this. Now Tegodiya is singular. Tegodiya is singular. Now let's see, the next one will prove that this is authentic and Ghanghata is authentic and Padi and Paida are authentic. Let's see what Yun Sang has to say. Look at this pond here. I am in Yun Sang's Tegodiya. This village is Tegodiya. Now, why I have come here? Godiya means to take in your lap. Now, according to Yun Sang, south of Sekwi Kalan and south of Sekwi Khurd was the place where Sakra Deva took the infant Buddha in his lap. So Tegodiya, and there is a stupa. Now these gentlemen say that there was high ground that side which they have leveled off to make fields. It is north of this pond. So I think it was the stupa which they leveled off to make fields. And this is the village Tigodia. Tigodia. We are thankful to their ancestors that they settled down here and they kept the name alive. आप लोग इस नाम को जिंदा रखें, वरना ये नाम मिट जाता, ये जगह नहीं करेगी। हाँ, आइए पूरा बिहार का। तो we are very thankful. What do you call it? He is a villager up here, and this is Tegodia, Yun Sang Tegodia. Now let's see what is next to Tegodia. Close to this, close to Tegodia, the Sakra king of Devas received the Bodhisattva in his arms. Now close to this, there are 4 stupas to denote the place where the 4 heavenly kings received Bodhisattva in their arms. See, this is the catchword, arms. Over there also the catchword was in his arms. But up here, the difference is Sakra was only one, so it is singular, and this is 4 devas, so it is plural. Let's see what is the plural form of Tegodia. See, here we have Dhangata. To the south is Tegodia, up here, and nearby is where 4, what do you call it? This is Tegodwa. See, Tegodwa is plural and Tegodia is singular. Tegodia is singular and Tegodwa is plural. So this is where the 4 devas took the child in their arms. Folks, that is the village. But there are 4 stupas which have been dug up. You can check out the video, folks. Tegodwa, there are 4 stupas which have been dug up. And the marks, the scars are still on the ground. You can see, check out the video. Folks, now I am in Tegodwa. Tegodwa, that was Tegodia, where there was one stupa, where Sakra Deva took the infant child Buddha in his lap. Now this is Tegodwa, where according to Yun Sang there should be 4 stupas. Now the villagers say that they call them D. So they say that the D's were dug up. The D's were dug up. So basically, look here. It seems they dug a bit too deep. This is, I think, a round, just like a stupa. This is also round, just like a stupa. There are 4 of them, and they were all dug up. See, this is also round. See? And this is the 4th one. So basically, चारों तरफ घुमाई ले. Basically, this is Tegodwa, where the 4 stupas were. 4 little stupas were. And where the devas, 4 devas, took the infant child Buddha in their arms. Tegodwa means to take in arms, to take in the lap. So folks, this is Tegodwa. Okay. Now let's see what he says after the, what do you call it, 4 devas took the infant Buddha in their laps. By the side of these stupas, of these 4 stupas, and not far from them, is a great stone pillar, on the top of which is the figure of a horse which was built by Ashoka Raja. Afterwards, by the contrivance of a wicked dragon, it was broken off in the middle and fell to the ground. By the side of it, it was broken off in the middle and fell to the ground. Now there was a pillar with a horse on top, and it was broken off and it fell to the ground, folks. Now if the top of the pillar fell to the ground, then the pillar will be just a pillar. It will be nothing else. Now let's see what is on the ground. It is close to the and it is not far, and neither is it near from the four stupas. Let's see where the pillar is. You have Tegodua here. Actually the name is here, but the stupas are here, folks. The stupas are here. Now from here, not too close and not too far, is a pillar, folks. This is Khamba. Khamba means pillar. So this is the Ashokan pillar. Khamba means Ashokan pillar. It was a pillar with a horse on top, and someone knocked it down. Yun Sang says it's a dragon knocked it down. Well, he's a Chinese. They have the concept of dragons. Anyway, someone knocked it down, so it looked like a pillar. This is Khamba. You see, wherever there is an Ashokan pillar, there is a stupa next to it, and a village has settled on it. They have kept the pillar name alive, Khamba. Like, in Vaishali it was Chhatri, and in the Mahaparinirvana stupa, the pillar was Chapkaya. Now this is Khamba. Now this negates all the pillars the British historians show in the spots they have, because those pillars are nameless pillars, and these pillars, the Ashokan pillars which Yun Sang is showing me, they have names. The next one will prove that this is the Ashokan pillar. So it is a river, it is a geographical proof. You cannot, remove it. So folks, this one negates. Now it has become a case of investigation. What the British, historians did by showing those pillars everywhere. They are all nameless pillars. And see, here's this Ashokan pillar. See, Paida village where he was born, the stupa where he was born, Paida, and north of it is Khamba, the pillar. So folks, you have it all here. Paida, Pairi, Chaubepur, Ghanghata, south of Ghanghata, Tegodia, and then Tegodua. And now you have Khamba. Now in Lumbini they do not show all this. They are trying to force it out that Lumbini is the birthplace. Now let's see what the next clue is of the birthplace.
Folks, now I am standing in Khamba village. This is 1 kilometer north of Paida village where the Buddha was born. So folks, Khamba, Yun Sang had seen a pillar on which there used to be a horse, a Ashokan pillar with a horse on it. And when Yun Sang had come, someone had knocked off the horse. So the pillar was only there. The pillar was, if the pillar is without the top, then it becomes a pole. So that is what Khamba means. This village you see up here is Khamba village, and this gentleman is a Brahman. Kaun Brahman? He is a sovereign Brahman. Sovereign Brahman. Now sovereign Brahman, sovereign sounds very similar to Shakya. See, the Shakyas, these words came back to India from foreign countries. Shakya, which the historians are using. Now, if you reach the correct place, you will find similar names. So, Shakya seems to be a mispronunciation. Thai, Ceylonese, Sri Lankan, Japanese, Vietnamese mispronunciation of sovereign. So, folks, दिखाई दो उन्हें भी This is your this is a well-off village, and you can see nice homes over there. Yes. So basically, this is Khamba where Yun Sang saw the Ashokan pillar 1 kilometer north of where the Buddha was born. Thank you.
And not far from this is a great stone pillar, on the top of which is the figure of a horse which was built by Ashoka Raja. Afterwards, by the contrivance of a wicked dragon, it was broken off in the middle and fell to the ground. That was Khamba pillar which I just showed you. Now what is next to it? By the side of it means by the side of Khamba is a little river which flows to the southeast. Okay, by the side of Khamba pillar is a little river which flows to the southeast. The people of the place call it the river of oil. This is the stream which the Devas caused to appear as a pure and glistening pool for the queen when she had brought forth her child to wash and purify herself in. Now it is changed and become a river, the stream of which is still unctuous. So there is a river which flows to the southeast. By the side of Khamba pillar is a river which flows to the southeast. Now let's see where that river is. You have Khamba here and Peda here. Peda here where the Buddha was born, and the pillar, Ashokan pillar, to mark the spot where he was born. And there was a river of oil flowing to the northeast, folks. Can you see this small line going there? That is the river of oil flowing to the southeast. Now, he says the river of oil flowing to the southeast. Let's enlarge this picture. Here is your river of oil flowing from the northwest to the southeast. Queen Mahamaya bathed in this river. Now, what's special about this river? It is called the Karmahaya river. And the Buddhists have changed the name for some river in Nepal to prove that Tilaura Court was Kapilavastu. That river isn't the name. This is the Karmahaya river. It flows from the northwest to the southeast, just as Yun Sang said. You can see, I will reduce it, and you have Khamba village there. The river is just north of Khamba village, folks. So, folks, here is your river of oil. Now, what is special about this river? This was, according to Buddhist scriptures, this was the border between the, Shakya and Kolia territory. This was the border. The Koliyas were this side, the Shakyas were this side. That is why that pond was called the Shakya pond. So you have the Koliyas this side and the Shakyas this side, and this river was the border of both the territories, both the countries. So let's see where the Koliya land, till where it is. Okay, folks, now I am in Rudholi, where according to Yun Sang was Lord Buddha's birthplace. That side was Tegodwa. That side is Nishana Padiyas. That side was Tegodwa. Now this is the river of oil. East of Tegodwa, where all the Devas took the infant Buddha in their lap. East of that is supposed to be the river of oil. according to Yun Sang. First, it was a pool which was made by magic for Lord Buddha's mother Maya, Nishana Baniya,
हाँ बोलते हैं।
Maya to bathe in. Now that river, that pool became a river, according to Yun Sang. And what do you call it? He called it the river of oil. But the present day they call it Karma Haya. So Karma Haya, this is Karma Haya, this is Yun Sang's river of oil, folks. So this proves that Rudholi is Lord Buddha's birthplace. It is Yun Sang's La Fani. La Fani, which the British historians translated as Lumbini. But La Fani is Rudholi, and this is the river of oil next to Tagodua, where the four devas took the infant child in their laps. Okay, now folks, now that I have shown you the Karmahaya river, you can see it's a very thin river, and it's flowing just exactly as Yun Sang says, from the northwest to the southeast. Now this is the dividing line between the Sakya and Kolia territories. And this is the dividing line between the Sakya and the Kolia territories. North of the river was Kolia territory, and south of the river was the Sakya territory. Now we have entered Kolia territory. I will show you the places where Mahaprajapati Gautami's father's house was, and where the pond was, which the Buddhists have mispronounced as Devdaha. Folks, there was no place called Devdaha. And then you have the Kolia city, which was made on the on tiger tracks, that is Bakhariya. And you have the city for Kolias. Sometimes they call it Kolia Grams, sometimes they call it the Kolia. The city, folks, is Kapia-E. The real place is Kapia-E. It's on the banks of a pond. And Mahapraja, the capital of the capital of the Kolias was not Devdaha. Devdaha never existed. The capital of the Kolias was Bankat Baisakha. Devdaha is a mispronunciation of Bankat Baisakha. So the Karmahaya river was to the south of Kolia territory, the river which you have just seen, and the Ami river was to the north. This has been mispronounced as the Naomi river. The Buddhists have mispronounced it as the Naomi river. That is actually not the Naomi river, that is the Ami river. So, folks, and in between these two rivers is Kolia territory. So, folks, let's see where the Ami river is. Now let's see from where to where the Kolia territory is. We saw Sakya territory was here, the river that flowed from northwest to southeast. That is the Karmahaya river. This is the Karmahaya river. This is the dividing line between the Kolias and the Sakyas. And now let's see the Sakya territory, the Kolia territory was between the Naomi river, which is the Karmahaya river, which I am just now showing you, the Naomi river, and they call it the Rohini river, which is the Karmahaya, which I am just showing you. This is the actually the Buddhists when they restructured their scriptures according to the finds they found on the ground up here, to put it in Tilora court, they took the name, changed the name to Rohini. It is the Karmahaiya river. Now the Karmahaiya river was to the west, and to the east was the Naumi river, mispronounced as the Naumi river. So now let's see where the Naumi river is. See, that is the Karmahaiya, and to the east is the Ami river. So this is the Ami river. Let's see a close-up of the Ami river. Here is a close-up of the Ami river and the bridge across the river. So now south of this river, see, this is also flowing from the northwest to the southeast, just like the Karmahaiya. This is also flowing from the northwest to the southeast, just like the Karmahaiya. And Buddhist scriptures say it is a thin strip of land between the Kolia territory is a thin strip of land between the two rivers, folks. Between the two rivers, which is your Ami river and your Karmahaiya river. So this is the, this is the Kolia territory, the thin strip of land. And you will get everything connected to Mahaprajapati Gautami's father's home in this area. Now let's see what we should get in the Kolia territory. Now they say that Mahaprajapati Gautami's father's home was Devdaha. So folks, there was no place called Devdaha. It is a mispronunciation of Bankat Baisakha. Bankat Baisakha. Devdaha is a mispronunciation by Baisakha, and Bankat is a blatant, Dev is a blatant mispronunciation of Dev. So, and the name is there, but the village is here, folks. The village is here. Now, and then they speak of a pond in which both the Koliyas, it used to supply water to Devdaha, which is Bankat, actually it is Bankat Baisak. This is the pond. And it was both the Koliyas and the Shakyas would bathe in it. Both the Koliyas and the Shakyas would bathe in it. So basically, the Koliyas and the Shakyas were brother-in-laws. So you have your Sarghat temple on the banks of the Sarghat pond. Now Sarghat means, Sar means brother-in-law. Sar means brother-in-law, and Ghat means bathing ghat. So this temple is on the bathing ghat of the brother-in-laws, where the Koliyas and Shakyas both used to bathe on this, in this pond. And the Buddhists have renamed this place Devdaha pond. Look at the foolishness. So this pond, the speciality of this pond was both the brother-in-laws, the Shakyas and the Koliyas, they were brother-in-laws. They would both bathe in this pond. So that is the Sar Ghat. Sar means brother-in-law, and Ghat means the bathing ghat, the bathing spot. So the bathing spot of the brother-in-laws. Okay? And then you will find the rest. See, you have Chedi Bankat, and then you have Kapya E. That is your Kolia Nagar. That is your Kolia Nagar. And in some Buddhist texts it is just Kolia, and in some Buddhist texts is Kolia Nagar or Kolia Jung or something. And then you have Bakhariya. Bag means tiger, and khadiya means the claw marks. So this is the claw marks of the tiger. This is that Vyaga Panja on which the Kapia E was supposed to have been, settled down. In which the city of the Koliyas had settled down. And you can see the pond in the middle. You can see the pond in the middle. So Kapia E is your Koliya Nagar. Let's see what Buddhist scriptures have to say about this. See, that is your Koliyas of Ramagrama. The tribe of Koliyas is mentioned in the Buddhist scriptures like Anguttara Nikaya, Maha, Vastu, etc., Buddha Gosa commentary, but not mentioned in the Brahmanical literatures under the name. They are either mentioned in Jain texts nor in the works of Panini and Chanakya. The etymology of word Koliya is probably related to tree kola, jujube, and Shakyas and refers to Koliyas as a people dwelling on jujube trees. According to the myths, the Koliyas are related to the Shakyas of Kapilavastu through the expelled prince and princess. The elder sister Priya or Sita, who was given the status of mother by rest brothers and sisters, contracted leprosy. The Shakya brothers then took her out of their territory and they dug a big underground room for her to stay with lots of food and water stored in it. They blocked the entrance of the room with wooden planks to put a large heap of earth on it. Meanwhile, the king Rama of Banaras also contracted leprosy. He abdicated the power to his son and left for the forest. He started living in the hollow of a kola tree. So he started living in the hollow of a kola tree to protect himself from the wild things. So one day, let's see where he started living in the hollow of a kola tree. See, this is Kapia E. Kapia E, that is your Koliya Nagar. So the Koliya tree was here. And he lived in the hollow of the Koliya tree, and close by was Priya, who was in a hole in the ground. And she screamed when she saw the tiger. So, King Rama must have been close by. So here you can see it is close by, around 300 feet distance from here to there. So basically, this is your Kapia E, and King Rama, he went there and he saved her from the tiger. And see, this is your Bakhariya, this village. This village is Bakhariya. Bagh means tiger and Khariya means scratch marks, the claw marks of the tiger. So this is the tiger tracks which Buddhist scriptures speak about. And they are, this is on the tiger tracks. And there are other villages also connected with tigerish type of names up here. So this is your where the Koliya tree was. Now let's see what the Buddhist scriptures, what else it has to say. So King Rama was living in the hollow of a kola tree to protect himself from wild things. One day, he heard the screams of Priya when a tiger was trying to enter her pit. So, see, I showed you in the satellite picture how close they were, both of them living, one in a kola tree and one in the in a hole in the ground. Next morning, he went to see the location and found Priya inside it. When he inquired about her, She told the entire story. When Rama offered to cure her, she refused, saying that she will prefer to die than to disgrace her family, caste and race. Rama then introduced himself as Kshatriya king of Banaras, who started living in the forest due to leprosy. Knowing Rama's lineage, Priya agreed to live together. She was slowly cured and meanwhile gave birth to 32 sons. One day Rama encountered an archer who in turn asked about the identity of the 32 princes. Rama told the entire story to him. The archer returned to Banaras and narrated the story to the then king of Banaras, who was the son of Rama. The king proceeded to the forest to meet his father and found him there. He built a magnificent city in the site of the Kolia tree and titled the city Kolia. See, they titled the city Kolia. So that is your Kapia E which I showed you. That is the Kapia E which I showed you. That is the city of Kolia. I will show it to you again. See, this is Kapia E, the city of Kolia. This is, the name has popped here, it is here. This is Kapia E, the city of Kolia. And this is the place where Priya was in a hole. See, I will click here and the name Bahadur appears. See, the name Bahadurpur appears. So that is Bahadurpur. Bahadurpur means brave. That is Bahadurpur means brave. See, Rama bravely caused the tiger to flee. Rama bravely caused the tiger to flee and saved Priya. That is why the place is called Bahadurpur. Folks, there it is. I clicked here next to the village and you got the name Bahadurpur. So, actually, now this is a stupa. And the stupa was called Bahadurpur. This stupa was called Bakhariya. And this stupa, this is the city of Kapia E. Understand? That is your city of Kolia. And this is Bahadurpur where, Priya was holed up in a hole and King Rama saved her from the tiger. Okay? And titled the city Kolia. The new city was called Kolia. It's actually Kapia E, which you just saw in satellite picture. As a result, all 32 princes were known as Kolia, and since the place was on the path of Pali Pajja means pug marks. Pajja means pug marks. Was on the path of tiger tracks. Path of tiger, Pali Vag. Actually, it is Bag, not Vag. It is Bag. So your Pali is mispronounced. So of tiger, they were known as Vyag Pajja. So it was on tiger tracks. Tiger tracks. It was on the path of tigers. So that is in Pali they have mispronounced it as Vyag Pajja. Actually it is Bakhariya, and Vyag Pajja Gotra. So let's see where that Bakhariya is. So you have your Kapia E up here, the village is here. Now where is Vyag Pajja? See, this is Bakhariya. Vyag Pajja means tiger's path, and Bakhariya means tiger's scratch mark. Khadiya means the scratch marks of claws. Khadiya means scratch mark of claws. So Bagh is Bagh. That means tiger, tiger's claw marks. So that will be your tiger's path. So folks, that is the village. Understand? That is the village of Vyagpajja. The mispronunciation of Baghariya. See, your Pali is also badly mispronounced, folks. Okay. Now let's see where the Kolia territory is. The Kolia territory was surrounded by the hills of Nepal. This is all rubbish, because till now people were thinking Buddha was born in Lumbini, and so the Kolia territory will be in Nepal. That is all rubbish. There is no hills around it. So the Kolia territory was surrounded by the hills of Nepal. But let's see what's to the north, south, east, west of it. Nepal in the north, by the Mallas of the northeast, in the northeast, by the Mauryas of, see, the Mallas in the northeast is accurate, because your Mahaparinirvana site is northeast of here. It's accurate. By the Mauryas of Pipali 1, that is Parara 1, folks. Pipali 1 is a mispronunciation of Parara 1 in the east. This is correct. It is exactly to the east. And by the Kosala kingdom to the south and west, with river Anoma, the river Anoma, present day Rapti. That is, again, they are trying to place it in Nepal. The Anoma river is the Ami river which I showed you. Anoma and with the river Anoma, present Rapti, as dividing line, and by the Shakyas in the southwest with river Rohini as dividing line. So the Shakyas are in the southwest and the west. It is accurate. And the Rohini is the Karmahaya river. The Rohini is the Karmahaya river, and the Anoma is the Ami river. Anoma is the Ami river, and Rohini is the Karmahaya river which I showed you. I will show it to you again. See, this is the Karmahaya river, and this is the Ami river. The Ami river has been pronounced as the Anoma river. The Ami river has been mispronounced as the Anoma river, and the Karmahaya has been mispronounced as the Rohini. So basically you can see this river, the thin line coming from northwest to southeast, and the Ami river also, you can see this thin line going from the northwest to the southeast, and the thin strip between these two rivers is your Kolia territory with all the places which I have shown you. So the Sakyas in the northwest and the river Rohini as the dividing line. Rohini is the Karmahaya river which I showed you. Thus the country of Kolia was a thin strip of land spread from river Ghagra to the south till the northern hills of Nepal. That is rubbish. And it covered 32 kilometers from east to west. Their villages, other villages figured in the Buddhist literature are Uttara, Kakar, Patta, Saja, Nela, Halidavasana, Kundiya, Kundi, and Sapuga. Sapuga is easy. I have found it. It is just next to Kapia E. I will show it to you. So this is Kapia E, which is your Kolia Nagar. Now where is Sapuga? Sapuga, see, it's easy. Sani Kaura, Sapuga, Sani Kaura, Sapuga, Sani Kaura. It's just here. You'll find all the other places also up here, Manyapur, Bankatia, Yeah, a lot of places you'll find them. You just have to search, and it's all found here. Another place easy to find, their villages figured in the Buddhist literatures are Uttara, Kakarpatta, Sajana, Haldivasana, Kundiya or Kundi and Sapuga. Kundiya, Kundi and Sapuga. Let's see where Kundiya is. I showed you Sapuga. Let's see where Kundiya is. Kundiya or Kundi. So you have your Kapia E here. This is Sapuga. Mispronunciation of Sani Kauda. Sapuga, Sani Kauda. And where's Kundiya? Kundiya, Kundi. Kundi, folks. See, you will find all the places here. You will find all the places here. You have to just search. See, this is another option for Sapuga. Sapuga. This is Sapahi. Sapuga, Sapahi. So, folks, you will find a lot of similar names. Sani Kauda is there. Yeah. And then you have all these Bankatia, Manyapar, etc., etc., etc. So, folks, now let's go back to the main place, that is Devdaha. Where is it? Now, let's see what this has to say about the Koliyas. See, a quarrel once arose between the two tribes regarding the right of the waters of the Rohini, that is your Karmahaya river. The quarrel once arose between the two tribes between the rights of the waters of the Karmahaya, which irrigated the land on both sides, and a bloody feud was averted only by the intervention of the Buddha. So basically the Buddha was in Jetavan, and when he heard about it, he came rushing to this place, and he, called both the groups. They were both his relatives, and he explained to them it was useless, it was a bad thing to shed the blood of a Kshatriya. In gratitude, each tribe dedicated some of their young men in the membership of the order. And during the Buddha's stay in the neighborhood, he lived alternately in Kapilavastu and Koliya Nagar. But he lived alternately in Kapia E and Kote Khas. So, folks, let's see where the Buddha made these two groups stop fighting and do a truce amongst them. And he told them about the futility of shedding Kshatriya blood. So you have it all here. Here you have Kapia E, and you have the Karmahaya river. See, you can see the Karmahaya river flowing to the south east. Now that is what the Buddhists have renamed or mispronounced as Rohini. The Karmahaya is Rohini. Now the Buddha, both of them were going to fight. See, this is all Kapia territory. Kapia E, Bakharia, Sani Kauda, Bahadurpur, and this side was Sakya territory, or this side of the river. So this is Murila E. Murila means to turn around. So this is the village where the Buddha was seen sitting on a log, and both the groups went to him in Murila. The name is here, but the village is here. The stupa is here. You see, all the village people have settled down on top of the stupas. So Murila means to turn around. See, you have it is right on the river banks, and the Buddha came in time, and he caused both the warring groups to turn around. Murila E. This stupa's name is Murila E, means to turn around, to do a truce. And village settled on top of it, so the village is Murila E. Okay, folks? see now that you have seen all the other spots, now we can come to the main. The pond, the Devdaha pond, there was no pond called Devdaha because in the Devdaha pond, both the Shakyas and Koliyas had the right to the waters and both of them would bathe in it. Now both of them were brother-in-laws. So that pond was named the brother-in-law's pond. See, this is Sar Ghat. Sar means brother-in-law. Sar means brother-in-law. Ghat means a bathing spot. So this was the bathing spot of the brother-in-laws. Folks, and let's see a close-up of this. The Sarghat temple. Let's see when I click on it what happens. The Sarghat temple. See there a picture of it. Let's click on it. See, this is the temple with the pond in the background, and see, you will notice one peculiarity about this temple is there are a lot of elephants here. See, whoever wishes something, he, and his wish is fulfilled. He makes an elephant here and he presents it to this temple. So basically, we know that when Mahamaya was, the first sign of pregnancy was she dreamt that an elephant had entered her body, her womb. So folks, the people do not know what's the meaning of the elephant, but it is an ancient ritual, a custom. If a wish is fulfilled in this temple, they make some artisans make an elephant and they present it to this temple. So you have this whole row of elephants there, here and on the other side also, and you have the pond. So this temple is on the spot of the bathing spot of the Koliyas and the Kapiyas, the Shakyas and the Koliyas, folks. Now you can view the video.
Okay, now folks, I'm in the Sarghat temple. Sarghat means brother-in-law. Sar means brother-in-law. Sarghat means brother-in-law's bathing place. So basically, in Buddhist scriptures, it is said that there was a pond where the brother-in-laws, both the Shakyas and Koliyas, had the right to bathe in. So folks, this is the Sarghat temple, and you can see the lake. See, it's a beautiful lake, the Sarghat lake. This Sarghat means, a brother-in-law. So you can see it's a big lake. In the Buddhist scriptures also they say it's a big lake. Now this is a Durga temple, this temple has become a Durga temple. And there is a unique stone inside this temple. And anyway, it is originally Buddhist. And it is next to Bankat Baisakh, and you can see this elephant next to it. See, there are a lot of elephants here. There are a lot of elephants, and basically up here, people don't know the importance of the elephants. They don't know the meaning of the elephants. They see, you can see the elephants. And see this lady sitting on top of a white elephant on a lotus leaf. That is Mahamaya, no doubt. That is certainly Mahamaya, since this was her father's home. And she is sitting on a lotus leaf, and the statue is ancient. And see the second statue also. This is another lady sitting on a lotus leaf on an elephant. It is certainly Mahamaya. And the people have forgotten her. And the people have forgotten the importance of these elephants. Basically, what happens is, if anyone asks something from this temple, and if his wish is fulfilled, so he makes an elephant and he presents it to this temple. So this is a ritual up here. And that is why you have all these elephants, folks. And you know what you call it, when Mahamaya became pregnant, she dreamt that a white elephant entered her stomach. So you have Bankat Baisakha, which was the palace of Mahamaya's father's home, close by, and water was supplied from this lake here to the Mahamaya's home, Mahaprajapati Gautami's home. So folks, enjoy this video. Okay, now we are inside the temple and see this unique rock. It has got 7 faces on all 4 sides, 7 faces. Now people don't understand what it is. See, you can see the face, you can see the eyes, the nose and the mouth. And basically people don't understand what it is, but it has, this rock has got 7 faces around it. And this is in this Sarghad temple, which I just showed you. And close by is Bankat Baisak village, which is has been mispronounced as Devdaha. And basically, thank you.
See, now that you have seen the Sarghad temple, this is the lake. It is not the Devdaha lake, it is the Sarghad lake. And you next to it you have this village that is Bankat Baisakha, mispronounced as Devdaha. See, the village is here. The name has popped up there, very thing. Bankat Baisakha. Bankat Baisakha is here. So, according to Buddhist scriptures, the water of this lake would be supplied to this village here, to this Bankat Baisak. This was your, what you call it, Queen Mahamaya and Mahaprajapati Gautami's, what you call it, father's home. And the stupa will be most probably on the palace itself. So folks, and a village has settled on it. It has kept the name alive. This is Bankat Baisakha. So I chose this place because of, see, Bankat means to, ban is forest, cut means to cut a forest. Bankat means to cut a forest. See, the Koliyas, they cut the forests and they, what do you call it, cut the forests and they made this whole area. And the Koliyas, they, what do you call it, so basically let's break up the word Bankat Baisak and compare it to Devdaha. See, you have Devdaha. I have divided into 2, Dev and Daha. Dev and Daha. Daha is a pure mispronunciation of Baisakha. Daha, Baisakha. Daha. So I have, this is Devdaha. I have divided into 2 words, Dev and Daha. Now this is Bankat Baisakha. Daha is a pure mispronunciation of Baisakha. Daha, Baisakha. Daha, Baisakha. And Dev is a blatant mispronunciation of Bank. Bankat. Dev, basically, but you can see they are double D's. Double D, this is double B, which has been mispronounced and put double D. So this mispronunciation is natural. Double B can be mispronounced as double D. So Devdaha, and this is Bankat Baisakha. Now we will have to read the original scriptures, I mean Buddhist words, and compare these words. So I will show you where Bankat Baisakha is. So this is the Sarghad temple once again, which I showed you the video. And this is your Bankat Baisakha, mispronounced as Devdaha. And this is where Mahaprajapati Gautami and Mahamaya's father's family lived. And I have showed you the rest of the places. Enjoy the video of Devdaha or Bankat Baisakha, and I will wrap up my video of this sector here. Now folks, we are now in Bankat Baisakha village, which is definitely Mahaprajapati Gautami and Mahamaya's father's home. We are on a stupa and the palace will be below this stupa. Now Bankat Baisakha, the Koliyas, they had cleared the forest, they had cut wood. So Bankat means to cut wood and clear a forest. And Baisakha means, you see, the Buddha was born in Baisak. Baisakha, the Buddha was born in Baisak. So Bankat Baisak, double B has been mispronounced in the Buddhist scriptures as double D in Devdaha. Devdaha is certainly a mispronunciation of Bankat Baisakha. So Daha Baisakha. So basically Bankat Baisak is the original word. This is the house of Mahaprajapati Gautami's father's place, and it is next to Sargar temple.